everyone, welcome back to the Unspoken podcast. My name is Anna Morgan Pelody. I'm going to be your host today from the Chris Klug Foundation. First, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has tuned in to this podcast last year and the first two episodes of this year. We are incredibly grateful to have such great support. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe or follow button depending on where you like to listen. Please do so. It helps us keep this podcast going and bring on new and interesting, exciting guests to talk about various different topics that are not discussed enough surrounding transplant and donation. With that, today's guest, I'm really excited to have Mark McIntosh from the Denver Transplant Games host committee. He is the chair of the host committee, joining me to discuss everything in the lead up to the games and how excited we are to bring those games to Denver this June 18th through the 23rd. If you haven't already checked out the Transplant Games of America, please do so. It's such a wonderful event that brings together individuals from all around the country with a connection to transplant and donation, and it's a really special week, so make sure you do that. Before we dive into the conversation with Mark, I'd love to just kind of touch about what CKF has coming up. First off, the next episode of The Unspoken, we will be announcing our CKF 2026 award winners. So if you have submitted a nomination or just want to learn a little more about our wonderful winners from last year and learn who this year's will be, please stay tuned or tune into that episode. I also want to apologize that this one is coming out a little later. We had some technical difficulties during editing. As everyone knows, technology doesn't run all that smoothly. Next, save the date for Wine and Dine. Wine and Dine will be back on August 28th. If you can join us, we would love to see you at the Snowmass Club to celebrate the gift of life and our 2026 CKF award winners. It is Donate Life Month, and I can't believe I waited this long in this podcast to say happy Donate Life Month. But I'm sure, just like you, I'm having a whirlwind of a month. So it's always craziness, but we love celebrating the gift of life and honoring those who decided to save lives this month. If you are interested, we are running our Spirit Week campaign through the month of April, helping schools, communities, and colleges put on their own Spirit Week. So we will provide materials for a tabling event, for a sports game, for trivia or bingo, or anything else really that your heart can come up with to help raise awareness for organ and tissue donation. If you're interested in that, head to our website, chrisklugfoundation.org/donatelifemonth. Now, without further ado, let's dive into the conversation with Mark. First, okay, so I want to start with your story. What led you to be here today, bringing the games to Denver? What's your backstory for anyone that hasn't heard it?
Well, I've been in Denver almost 40 years. I came here as a sportscaster for Channel 4 long time ago. And so I've been in the TV business full time. I was in it for about 25 years, but I've been in it in some way. But once they kick old guys off the air and you got to move on to something else. And so I started a little nonprofit called Victory Productions. It's really my ministry. And there's 3 programs. One, A Stronger Cord. We work with the Denver Rescue Mission. They're guys in their New Life program. Irv Brown Scholarship Fund at MSU Denver here in Denver. I'm the chair. We give away scholarships to first generation kids in honor of Irv Brown, who was one of my mentors in the sportscasting business. And then based upon my life experience of the last 3 years, Drive for 5. And Drive for 5 is an effort to recruit 5,000 live organs and keep 5,000 people from having to go on dialysis. Why do I care about that? Well, about 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with a rare blood cancer, incurable blood cancer called amyloidosis. Took me about 6 months to learn how to pronounce it, but it's nasty stuff. There's only about 100,000 people on the planet with amyloidosis, and it was destroying my kidneys and after my liver as well. But I was immediately thrown in. About this time 3 years ago, I started chemotherapy for the blood cancer and dialysis because it was destroying my kidneys. And so through that process of sitting there 3 times a week for 4 hours a day, I started digging in and realized, smokes, Batman, we have got a growing kidney crisis in our country with 100,000 people looking for kidney transplants. 85% of all the people on a transplant list are for kidneys. It's a big elephant in the room. And So I just started writing about it and talking about it because that's my world. I'm a communicator. I write, I speak, I do all that kind of stuff. And so I just became very passionate about educating people about organ donation and wellness, and especially how, unfortunately, high blood pressure, diabetes, and excessive weight are horrible for your organs and disproportionately affect communities of color and all that. And that drew the attention of the Transplant Life Foundation based out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. They are the presenters of the transplant games, and they were looking for a place to host the 2026, and they approached me, and I started thinking about it. All right, it's the world's largest celebration of life in the world. We're bringing 12,000 people June 18th to the 23rd, and it's my story. I'm a storyteller, and then also thought 12,000 people coming to town. That's pretty cool. It's the kickoff of the Colorado Caravan's efforts to work with Chris Klug and others to, over the next 10 years, let's restore Colorado as the healthiest state in the country. And in terms of transplants, we have history on our side. Back in 1963, Miss Starzl performed the first liver transplant in the world at what is now UC Health. All those things said, let's go. So proud to be hosting and darn proud that you're part of our team, and Chris Klug's definitely supporting us. So that was a real long answer to a very short question.
I love it. That was wonderful. Thank you. And when did
Uh,
you get your transplant? I think you skipped over the part that you did get your transplant.
oh,
You're no
yeah.
longer
Thank
doing
you.
dialysis.
I, 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 I just need to shut up and answer questions. I got my kidney transplant on June 12th of 2024. A 68-year-old woman by the name of Kathy Hitchcock lives down in Pueblo West. She shared her spare and saved my life. She will forever be an angel in my midst. I'm talking to you today, and we're doing the work that we love to do in this space. Without Kathy Hitchcock and wonderful healthcare, I ain't here.
It's incredible. And it's always incredible to me when all the individuals are able to donate. We had a guy come up to us who was running the New York Marathon who was in his 70s and was
Mm,
going in to donate his kidney in a
yeah.
couple weeks' time and has since donated and is doing wonderfully. And it always amazes me, the healthcare system.
Well, that's been one of the things. So, we created the Colorado Caravan, and I'm traveling wherever invited to educate. And I want to thank you for the Western Slope tour. I look forward to the next one. That people are actually, their jaws drop, when you're out in front of people and you see who's engaged, who doesn't care, and all that kind of stuff. But when people hear about 73-year-old people sharing their spare, I just had a buddy at 69, my donor was 68, and just really try to encourage these people, just get tested
Yep.
because you never know.
Mm,
And I
that's
think a lot of people don't realize that. And so, one of the big things for the caravan as we move forward after these games are over, the caravan is going to continue on, and just to try to encourage people that are beyond childbearing years. You've been pretty healthy. You believe in giving back to your community, and you're looking around the crazy world in which we live and saying, what can I do to help? Well, how about share your spare and save somebody's life?
I love it. I love it. It's so simple, so easy.
Well, and just get tested, just start the process,
Yeah.
because what I've noticed is, well, first, there's three things. One, it's free.
Mhm.
It's a great checkup that even if you don't donate, you might discover an illness or disease you had no idea you had. And then if
Yep.
you go through with it, you get the voucher. So,
Yep.
that could help you or a loved one. But,
Yeah.
it is pretty simple. And it seems like the more as we've been out, the caravans out roaming around, and there's more and more people getting tested. And it's crazy. They'll text me like, Mark, I got through the blood work, and now I'm on to this. It seems like the deeper they get into it, the more excited they get.
Oh, definitely. It's gotta be the most when you give a donation to a charity, you feel good afterwards. It's gotta be the ultimate
Oh,
high to after you donate a kidney and save someone's life. There's gotta be no feeling
yeah.
like that.
Or a liver. I mean, a low
Yeah, or
liver. My
yeah.
my it, you know amyloidosis was after my liver. Thankfully, it didn't get my liver. Kidneys and livers. We can save a lot of lives in America if we
Yeah.
just do a better job of educating people. You can live just fine with one kidney, and you can give a lobe of your liver, and it'll grow back.
It's incredible. Incredible. So let's dive into these games now. What are the transplant games? What are we bringing to Denver? Why are we so excited about bringing these games and all of these transplant people into the Mile High City?
Well, the games have been around since 1990. They were started by the National Kidney Foundation. And after the 2010, they kind of realized our specialty is not running 6 day sports and wellness festivals. So they turned it over to the Transplant Life Foundation that's run by Bill Ryan. And so the Transplant Life Foundation has been running the games since 2011. And it's 6 days of all kinds, 21 different competitions for the three divisions: recipients, donors, family members of deceased donors. We compete for gold, silver, and bronze and 21 different events. There's 8 events that are open to anybody, whether you have an affiliation to the transplant world or not. That's called the Colorado Challenge. But we just, for 6 days, we come together and we celebrate life. We honor those making it happen. We educate about organ donation and we inspire people to get in a little better shape. There's like 65 different events, special events like a donor tribute and a quarter century club dinner where
Mm.
people that have lived 25 years or longer with a transplant, it's just a big old party. I mean, it's just a 6 day celebration of life.
How can you not get behind that?
Well, exactly,
Yeah.
and I think especially in the days we live in,
Mm.
and you know this from your own personal experience in the transplant world, there's a special spirit to people that, like when I'm with Kathy Hitchcock and we're just standing together and people go, Mark, who gave you a kidney? This lady right here, and just to realize that
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was pointing to my groin there, but that's where my third kidney sits. But yeah, so we're just inviting, we need some good news in our country these days. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. So we just encourage everybody that's listening to this, come join us. You can volunteer, you can compete, and you could support us if you don't join us. But it's the,
Yeah.
the people I talk to, and you've been,
Mhm.
um, some of these people, they have tears strolling down their cheeks and they go, Mark, it's the most inspirational thing I've ever been a part of.
It
So
really is.
yeah, and so we're very blessed that we're hosting it in Denver, and Denver's kind of on the comeback trail. It is rechristened 16th Street, and we're really looking forward to hosting everybody. But for us out here, we're just getting started.
Yeah.
This is the springboard to a 10-year effort, and a
Mhm.
big part of that effort is starting soda chapters. We can talk about that if you want to, but yeah, well, because Chris Klug, you know very well about soda, so we're just thrilled that you know we're going to have a fun time this summer, and it's just a springboard of much more to come.
Yeah, and it's incredible. I'll top on that. I mean, I went to San Diego, and I mean, it left me speechless by the end of
Yeah.
it because you're surrounded by individuals from different communities, different backgrounds, different races, ethnicities, religions, everything, who have been put through the absolute ringer, who have every reason in that room to feel, sad at the lot they
Mhm.
were given. But they are not. They are so impassioned and so positive and inspirational, and the conversations that you get to see had between people that probably would never cross paths. Somebody
Yeah.
from Mississippi is chatting to somebody from Long Beach, Florida, whatever it might
Mhm.
be. The positivity and it's, yeah, inspiring. It is everything the Olympics is, but for people that really deserve that chance to be championed.
Yeah, I mean, every time I hug Kathy Hitchcock, realizing a piece of her sits inside of me, I am so blessed that there's a couple things I'm struggling with though. And one is that I suddenly like Hallmark movies and I just like shopping for some reason.
They say that you pick up traits.
I'm now a woman trapped in a man's body.
Lasting legacy, I think that is, right? Just a little stamp on it. I
Yeah.
love.
I'm so blessed. Again, Kathy Hitchcock and great healthcare. And, I think one of the challenges we have in this space, and Chris Klug's been in this space for 20 years, I'm a rookie, um,
Mm.
is, getting people to trust the healthcare system. And often, we put off, like I look back on my journey, I probably knew because, I've always been pretty in tune with my body. I went to college on an athletic scholarship. I was taught to be in tune with my body, but I probably for 6 months chalked it up to, I'm just getting old as to why I
Yeah.
was losing weight and I wasn't trying. I was going to the bathroom all the time, wasn't sleeping that well. There was a lot of foam in my urine. I just said, I'm just getting old. Well, no,
Yeah.
that was my body telling me your kidneys are failing
Mhm.
because of the amyloidosis and all that foam in my urine. That was flushing my proteins out of my body.
Yeah, and that's the common trend you hear with a lot of transplant patients is that it did they were progressively getting sicker and not realizing, and it took them time to go in and face that fear of, "What are they gonna tell me when I walk into this room?"
And
Yeah,
then it's too late.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and that one of the things we're really emphasizing on the caravan trail is the wellness piece. And
mhm,
because we just keep ignoring this stuff and it's just getting worse. We've got 550,000 people in America on dialysis today. It's projected to go to 1 million in the next decade
crazy.
because our lifestyles, high
Yeah,
blood pressure, diabetes, and excessive weight, and it especially is hitting communities of color. That's why we're real excited that we're trying to expand soda
yeah.
throughout the state, throughout the nation, and you could share with people what soda is all about.
Yeah, so absolutely. So and I wanted to kind of jump into this world of what the legacy of these Denver games is going to be compared, added to what the legacy has been of previous games. We're really trying to put a stamp on leaving a legacy behind. And SODA is an incredible organization, student organ donation advocates that are set up in campuses all across the country, educating their peers. We can go in and preach all day long, but it's way more powerful when it comes from someone of your age who you're friends with and you know that this means something to them. And this is an important thing in their world. And I think that they've really done an incredible job of activating young people about this mission and this cause that most people don't think affects them until they're older. You don't think that you're going to go through this as a young person, but unfortunately, a lot of people that are successful donors are young people. And people that need transplants, transplant does not discriminate. It's coming after you. If you need it, it doesn't care what age you are. You're gonna need it. And so they've done an incredible job of encouraging people to register and
Mhm.
making sure young people are educated.
Yeah, and that's where we're really uh, around. We've got only two soda chapters in the state of Colorado right now. One at CU Boulder, and one that we just started at MSU Denver Metropolitan State University, Denver. Our goal, the Colorado Caravan goal, for the next 5 years, we want 25 chapters around the country, around the state, and in 10 years, we want 50 chapters. And we're really going after colleges
Yeah.
in parts of the state at the universities there tend to serve more kids of color. For
Mhm.
instance, Fort Lewis and Durango, Colorado Mountain College, all along the western slope, Colorado Mesa and Grand Junction, CSU Pueblo, Adams State, UNC, etc. So I think it's absolutely critical for our nation's future as we become more and more diverse. Our younger kids of color have got to understand the dangers of high blood pressure, diabetes, and excessive weight because unfortunately they're more prone to that stuff just
Yeah.
genetically, and then distrust of the system, and then access to the system. And we got to do something about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I believe it's 60% of the transplant wait list is made up of those of color, communities of color, and only about 20% are registered to be donors. While you can donate to anyone, there is studies that do prove in certain terms that genetic and race does make a difference for a longer lasting transplant. So
Mhm.
encouraging those communities of color to make sure that they are registered is so
Yeah.
critical and just keeps
Well,
growing.
I'll never forget that. So I was on hemodialysis for 9 months. And so every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday morning, for 4 hours, they hook you up, but you'd sit out in the lobby. You had to be there at like 4:55, waiting for the doors to open up. And there were seven of us: Amber, Jackie, John, Elizabeth, Joyce, Maria, and Mark. We were strangers who became friends, who became like family as we waited for that life saving treatment three
Mm,
times a week.
mm,
All of my friends were of color and poor, arriving via Medicaid provided transportation. And here I was, pretty comfortable white guy, I'd pull up in my car, I'd go in, I'd get treated, I'd go
Mm.
home. And it just, I've grown up around communities of color my whole life as an athlete. They were my teammates as a sportscaster. They were my interviews. And then Victory Productions, a lot of the people we serve are of color. And so it breaks my heart. And I will go to my grave trying to make a difference.
Thank you. You're doing incredible work, Mark. You really are.
Well, all I do is I just do what you tell me to do.
I don't know about that. That's your wife's job, isn't it? That's what wives
Well,
do. Just
yeah,
having that.
you're one of about 4 work wives I have that
Okay.
was kinda when I'm outside of my wife's supervision, you guys take over. You ladies take
Direct.
but I'm okay with that because I need
Yeah,
supervision.
me too. So we have a lot of people coming to Denver, and I thought this would be
Mhm.
a great time. You know, you're a local. What
Yep.
is your top place or top
Oh,
couple places that
yeah,
traveling people, different
sure.
teams should go visit?
Sure. Well, Red Rocks comes immediately to mind.
Mm.
It's considered one of the most famous musical venues in the world, but you can go up there and you can hike all around Red Rocks. You can run up the steps and all that kind of stuff. So definitely Red Rocks. The city of Denver, the zoo is pretty cool. The Museum of Nature and Science is right by the zoo. This is on the near east side. For those that are coming and going to be staying downtown, the zoo and the Museum of Nature and Science is like a 10-minute Uber
Yeah, it's really
from downtown. It's right there. I mean, you got the mountains 30 minutes to the west, so you can do all kinds of hiking. The Rockies are going to be in town. In fact, we're going to have, I think, on June 19th. So the games run from June 18th to the 23rd. That's
cool.
Thursday through Tuesday. But Friday night, June 19th, we're going to have a Transplant Games of America night at the Rockies. So we'd love to, there'd be more information coming from TLF on that soon. But so the Rockies are in town. And for people from all around the nation that you're used to going to baseball games in the summer and it's hotter than hell and muggy and everything, an evening in the summertime at a baseball game at Coors Field is
Pretty perfect.
pretty magical. Yeah,
Yep.
and, I highly recommend get a seat over, like, down the right field line. You can watch the sunset over the mountains. You get that purple mountains majesty going. So you have a chance to, check out Coors Field and, there's just and
It's
I know
endless.
Visit Denver, I think Visit Denver is, working with the TLF, so people that are signed up to come and everything, you're gonna start getting information about things to do while you're in Denver, and we obviously now I kinda feel like I'm being a cheerleader for the city of Denver.
You got it. Pretty great city.
I mean, the games start on Thursday, June 18th, but come early and stay late. There's all kinds of stuff to do and, head up to the mountains, obviously. Mountains in the summertime. Well,
And
but
it.
there's
All kinds of
yeah,
fun.
yeah. I mean, there's a reason a lot of people come to Colorado in the summertime.
I was always told when I moved out here, they always said to me, "You'll come for the winter, you'll stay for the summer."
Yeah.
And it could not be more true. I'm like, "Okay, winter's fine. The summer comes and I thrive."
Yeah, it's a special place, and we know that there were some concerns with some people that holding the games at 5,280 feet of Rocky Mountain altitude for somebody that's had a double lung transplant or a heart transplant or something. We understand that competing at altitude and even just coming and visiting. I just encourage everybody. The minute you get off that plane, drink water all the time, and obviously transplant patients should be drinking water. All of us should be drinking more water.
100. That's why every Coloradan carries one of these wherever they go. See?
There you
Twice
go.
as big.
Yeah, hydrate. But 16th Street.
Mhm.
I think some of the state managers that came out in October, they were out for the reopening of 16th Street. Now, so I've lived in Denver for 40 years, and 16th Street Mall is what they used to call it, and it used to be the spine of downtown. And downtown Denver was very vibrant pre-COVID, and then once COVID hit, and like just almost like all major city downtowns are still trying to figure it out. But and they thought one of the things we can do to kind of restart the resurgence of downtown is they kind of revamped the 16th Street Mall. They spent $100,000 on a marketing campaign. What are we going to call what used to be called the 16th Street Mall? They came up with, let's just call it 16th.
I mean,
So
it's
they just took
simple.
mall off of it. I think
It's
we could have. probably done that for
Much
20
cheaper,
bucks and a beer at
right?
Bucks in Aspen.
Right?
That's kind of
I
my
I have to
hangout. That
say that and 16th Street is my hangout, so we
Yeah,
trade out.
that for everybody that's coming, everybody's gonna be staying downtown, and
Yep.
16th Street's right there.
Yeah.
And then you got the Rockies are gonna be, and you never know. I don't think the Nuggets got a chance, but the Avs might be in the middle of the Stanley Cup
Yeah,
final
and the
at that
Colorado
time.
Rapids, I think they've
Colorado,
started.
and we've got the first season of National Women's Soccer League franchise, the Denver Summit. It's
Which is
gonna be
incredible.
yeah,
Jess
yeah.
and I game a while ago.
Denver is a great sports town, Colorado, and again, so we hope that people you come for the games and slip up to the mountains for a few days and all that kind of stuff. But it's our intention, people that have lived here a long time, and we want to put our best foot forward. Welcome to the Mile High City for the 2026 Transplant Games of America, folks.
I love it. Okay, and as we wrap this up, Mark, I have one last question for you. We always leave off of listeners with one piece of advice. It could be for somebody who's awaiting a transplant, it could be for somebody who's just received their transplant. What's the one thing that you want to leave them with?
Dang. You
Dang
could have
it.
prepped me a little on this.
Of course.
One piece of advice, and my mind is going to, I'll never forget when I was first diagnosed, and because we didn't know what was going on, and we did a kidney biopsy. We knew my kidneys were failing. I've never had a problem with my kidneys in my life. Why is this guy's kidneys failing? And then we find out that I've got this rare blood cancer and everything. And I think it's Romans 12:12, and it says, find joy and hope. And I knew from what my doctors were telling me that they've made tremendous strides against amyloidosis, and that they were confident that with chemo and with dialysis that I'd get a second chance. So I tried to find joy and hope that modern medicine was going to keep my butt alive. Patience with affliction. I know it's very difficult to be sitting on a transplant list wondering when that call's going to come. My donor, Kathy Hitchcock, she got tested to help her husband. They weren't a match, but Kathy and I were a match. Kirk still sits on the transplant list. So I know it for people out there, I know it can get very, very frustrating, but I just encourage you, be patient with affliction. And for those who have received, like I did, be patient that, it does take time. I'm almost 21 months? Yeah, about 21 months into receiving a new lease on life from my angel in my midst, as I call Kathy Hitchcock. And I'm almost back up to the weight I was.
Mm.
I usually weighed in at 165 pounds, but I got down to 142 in the depths of my illness. So be patient with whether you're sitting on the list or you're have the new lease. Be patient. It takes a bit, and I know it's real easy for me to say, but I know for people who are sitting in, so find joy and hope in affliction, faith and prayer. I think just believe. For those sitting on the list, trust me, you've got Chris Klug Foundation. You've got Drive for Five. You've got a lot of people out there educating people that you can share your spare and save somebody's life. So don't feel like you're alone here. We are advocating each and every day, to help you. So just keep the faith. And then for those that we've received, go out there and encourage others to share their spare and save somebody's life. So one piece, keep the faith, hang in there, be patient, and just believe the posse's coming.
We got your back.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of us.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It always amazes me every room you go into, there is someone with a connection sitting in that room that they don't half the time don't even know that they had a connection, but then they think, "Oh, my aunt Gwen had a, liver
Mhm.
transplant 30 years ago."
Yeah. Yeah. And so I guess before we wrap up, I'd be remiss, people that are kind of being my coach and trying to raise money for this and all. I go, McIntosh, you got to ask. You know, I get to talking about it, get all excited about it, and they go, "You never ask anybody for anything." No, so
Yeah.
we would just like to encourage everybody, you know, come visit us, sign up to volunteer, obviously sign up to compete. If you can't make it and you'd like to support us, you can go to Transplant Games of America for all this. Transplant Games of America, you can volunteer, you can compete, you can support us. And so, but
Yep.
we would really love to see you out here. We're going to have a good
Celebrating
time this summer.
Yep, let's celebrate the gift of life. Like Mark said,
Amen.
head to transplantgamesofamerica.org to register to volunteer to make a financial contribution if you feel so inclined. We are out spreading the message, and these games are going to last on past Denver 2026. So
Well,
yeah.
yeah, the games will go on, and I guarantee you the effort here in Colorado that Chris Klug has been doing all over the nation. But Chris Klug was born here 20 years ago. The American Transplant Foundation was
Mhm.
born 20 years ago, and Drive for Five has been around for a couple of years now, and Donor Alliance out here. We will work tirelessly
Yep.
to continue to educate people about organ donation and wellness.
Well, thank you so much, Mark, for joining me. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. And as we always like to leave it off with, live life, give life.